Cloning is one of the most controversial and fascinating topics in modern science. Since Dolly the sheep was successfully cloned in 1996, this technology has sparked debates about its possibilities and limitations. In the United States, discussions around cloning, especially human cloning, involve ethical, legal, and scientific issues. Let's explore how cloning has developed, its applications, and its potential future impacts. Cloning, according to the National Human Genome Research Institute in the United States, refers to creating genetically identical copies of a biological entity. This means reproducing an organism or cell to create a clone that is essentially a genetic replica. The concept of cloning is not entirely new. Even before Dolly, researchers had made significant advances. In 1952, for instance, biologist Robert Briggs and his colleague Thomas King conducted the first nuclear transfer experiment in frog embryos. This technique involved removing the nucleus from an egg and replacing it with the nucleus from an embryonic cell, creating the first vertebrate clone. Although amphibian cloning was revolutionary, its societal impact was truly felt with the cloning of mammals, which posed a much greater challenge. In 1996, Dolly the sheep was born in this context. Under the leadership of Ian Wilmot at the Roslin Institute in Scotland, the team of scientists cloned the first mammal from an adult somatic cell. Dolly was generated from a cell taken from the mammary gland of an adult sheep, representing a monumental achievement in biotechnology. Despite her accelerated aging and death at the age of 6, Dolly became a milestone in science, opening doors to new research on both animal and human cloning. Cloning can be divided into two main categories: therapeutic cloning and reproductive cloning. Each has distinct purposes and implications. Therapeutic cloning is primarily used in regenerative medicine. The goal of this technique is not to create a whole organism but to generate stem cells that can be used to treat degenerative diseases and other medical conditions. The embryonic stem cells obtained in the early stages of embryonic development are pluripotent, meaning they can transform into any type of cell in the human body. This offers immense potential for treating diseases like Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, and various heart and nervous system conditions. The process involves removing the nucleus from an egg and replacing it with the nucleus from a patient's somatic cell. The resulting cloned embryo is used to generate stem cells that are genetically identical to the patient, thus eliminating the risk of immune rejection. However, therapeutic cloning also raises ethical concerns, particularly because it involves the creation and destruction of human embryos. In the United States, research with embryonic stem cells is strictly regulated. While some states permit research, others severely restrict it. Reproductive cloning, on the other hand, involves creating a complete organism from a somatic cell of another organism. Much like Dolly's case, the nucleus from an adult cell is transferred into an egg, and this embryo is implanted into a female's uterus. The result is a clone of the original animal or human. Although human reproductive cloning is banned in many countries, debates about its feasibility and ethics are still heated. UNESCO and other international organizations condemn this practice, citing concerns about human dignity and the potential social impact. In the United States, human reproductive cloning is also prohibited, and scientists attempting such experiments face severe legal restrictions. While human reproductive cloning remains forbidden, animal cloning, particularly for agricultural and medical purposes, continues to advance in the United States. The cloning of farm animals such as cattle and pigs is already commercially used in the U.S. Biotechnology companies are interested in cloning animals with desirable traits such as higher meat or milk production, disease resistance, or superior genetics. This allows farmers to create more efficient and profitable herds. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has declared that meat and dairy products from cloned animals are safe for human consumption. However, this practice still faces resistance from some consumers, particularly due to ethical and animal welfare concerns. Another area of cloning that has attracted attention is the cloning of pets. Specialized companies like Viagen Pets offer cloning services for dogs and cats in the United States, allowing owners to recreate their deceased pets for a hefty price, which can reach tens of thousands of dollars. Celebrities and ordinary people wishing to maintain an emotional bond with their pets are the target audience for this growing industry. However, it's important to note that despite genetic similarities, clones are not exact copies of the original animals in terms of personality and behavior. Environmental factors significantly impact the development of animal behavior, meaning the clone may differ from the original animal in many ways. With advances in cloning technology, human cloning continues to be a topic of interest. But the future of cloning goes beyond the mere reproduction of living beings. New technologies such as digital cloning and the combination of biotechnology with artificial intelligence are beginning to shape a new horizon for the field of cloning. Digital cloning involves creating digital replicas of humans or animals using data generated through neural mapping and behavioral simulation. Instead of physically cloning a body, digital cloning aims to replicate the mind, memories, and personality of an individual in a virtual environment or an AI interface. In the United States, major tech companies and research labs are investing heavily in neuroscience and AI, trying to understand how the human mind can be scanned and digitally replicated. Although this technology is still in its experimental stages, there is enormous potential to create digital avatars that mimic human behavior with high accuracy. Imagine a scenario where people could live eternally in digital form, with their minds preserved and continuing to interact with the world after physical death. While this idea may sound like science fiction, the development of sophisticated AI and advanced neural interfaces is bringing this possibility closer to reality. One of the biggest barriers to human cloning is the set of bioethical issues it raises. Cloning a human being doesn't just mean replicating a genetic structure, it also involves dilemmas around identity, individuality, and human rights. Would a human clone be an individual with their own rights or an extension of the original person? And if we cloned a famous or historical figure like a leader or scientist, how would we handle the social and psychological effects of having a 2.0 version of someone? These questions are as complex as the technologies that inspire them. In the United States, the President's Council on Bioethics has already expressed significant concerns about human cloning, arguing that this practice could lead to human rights abuses and create deep social divides. Furthermore, there is a risk that human cloning could be used for genetic enhancement purposes, selecting specific traits to create humans with certain abilities or physical characteristics. This concept, known as eugenics, was already explored in totalitarian regimes in the past and raises serious concerns about equality and justice. Another important aspect of cloning is its impact on biodiversity and the environment. Cloning endangered species has been proposed as a solution to save animals from extinction. Scientists successfully cloned the Pyrenean ibex, a subspecies of wild goat that went extinct in 2003. However, the clone survived for only a few minutes. In the United States, efforts are underway to clone other endangered species, such as the American bison, to ensure their survival. Given the complexity of the subject, cloning remains an exciting frontier, but one filled with ethical and scientific challenges. And what about you? Should cloning be more widely explored, or are the ethical and moral risks too great to ignore? Share your opinion in the comments.